Hey, I'm SYM1, and you're listening to Local Vibes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was an amazing performance. We've been wanting to see you for such a long time. And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling very warm.
Yeah, I bet. But before we dive into the music, I think I'd like to learn a little bit more about your beginnings as a musical artist. So, prior to sharing a bill with Dorian Electra and being described as the next big thing by Dispatch magazine, your earliest memories consist of participating in talent shows. So, what other childhood memories and experiences have influenced your decision to create music?
My One of my earliest childhood memories is listening to the Sailor Moon theme song and singing that constantly. And my one of my dad's friends like heard me singing and was like, "Whoa, she was like perfect pitch." And my dad told me that, and I didn't really understand, but I was like, I definitely want to be a singer. Like, I knew kind of from that moment on. And then, like, I feel like I was like 5 at that time. And then by the time I was 11, I didn't let that dream go. And my dad told me that if I wanted to be a famous singer, that I would have to start getting some gigs. And so he gave me a phone book directory situation, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" But he encouraged me that I would be able to get gigs, and he's been such a huge motivation and support for me. And I was able to like call up any place I could, whether it was like a nursing home, a venue, or like a community space, and I would get gigs there.
Yeah. How is
So
that
yeah.
like for them to hear this 11-year-old, ask for them to perform?
Um, I have no clue what they thought. I was like, I know I felt awkward, and I was just hoping that they would say yes. And when they did, I bet it was even more interesting for them to hear, like, I just burned a CD that had like Britney Spears and like some of my favorite musical tunes on it. I'm assuming that they didn't really expect me to sing that because I didn't tell them.
Hmm.
I just was like, "Hey, can I perform?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come in."
Okay, yeah, I
Oh, I
guess
have no idea. I can't remember at all who
yeah.
said yes. Not for the life of me.
Did a nursing home say yes?
A
Yeah.
nursing home did say yes. I
Yeah.
just don't know which nursing home that it was. And like a bunch of community spaces, like community, um, like the Lenox Theater in St. Louis Park. I know that one for sure because I lived in St. Louis Park at the time.
Hmm.
And that was one of the first places that I reached out to. But
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else that I remember said yeah.
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 But as a kid, you were watching all these animes, musical tunes,
Yes.
Sailor Moon.
I was watching anime. I was playing video games. Oh, another really early memory was that I played this video game called Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines, and that is like one of my top favorite video games. And it just like had music I was not introduced to at all. Like my parents did not listen to like rock type stuff. Like my mom was always listening to like Eurodance and electronic music and pop because she's a gymnast and she was always doing like practicing floor routines. So I definitely get that inspiration from her. But from Vampire Masquerade is where like I found my love of like rock music and hardcore music and metal.
Yeah. And it's prominent and it's really easy to see the your references to internet culture and video games within your discography. And I guess what are some other subcultures in video games that you kind of go back to and re-listen to kind of get an idea what you want to sound like?
Yeah, I guess like subcultures that like are into anime. I'm like very much influenced by different anime soundtracks um, for different video games and like supporters of those video games. Like DDR is a huge one. Like there's music right in there right away. Another one is Bust a Groove. Like all of these different dance based and rhythm based games had music that I was very into. Like it just felt like chaotic and fun, and the kick was always carrying you through. And I love a beat that doesn't stop, doesn't quit, and is like euphoric. And that led me into trance as well. But I was never that great at DDR. I just really loved the music. Other video games that I really liked were like Sonic Adventure 2, Vampire Masquerade, of course. There was also, I was a big RuneScape girly. Not that the music from there influenced me at all, but I bet the subcultures that I was a part of while playing RuneScape and the community that I found, they definitely influenced what I listened to.
Yeah, so it's just a combination of so many different games and shows, which is really interesting to hear. And today you are a performer, you're a vocalist, you're a producer that again incorporates just multiple aspects of alternative pop genres and that Y2K aesthetic. As we can see, DDR, RuneScape, and how else did your love for Eurodance and hardcore, come about other than your mom, bringing that into?
I mean, hardcore didn't come from my mom, but Eurodance definitely did. I would say I took German in school also, so I mean, you'll definitely find Eurodance if you're taking German classes. And my teacher at the time was very into introducing different German artists and musicians to the class, so I learned a lot of German songs and so definitely found Eurodance there. But for hardcore stuff, I think that I really leaned into it once I played that game, and then I was just kind of exploring what else I could find, and I found people that dressed a certain way, listened to what I was looking to hear more of, and found that more than just rock and metal, I hadn't heard hardcore just yet, so they introduced me to it, and I started listening to more things like MSI and I Sit to Kill, things like that.
Yeah, and I like how you brought up the way those people dressed, because a very unique aspect of your performances that differentiates you from many local artists is your clothing. And what goes into creating these really imaginative and robotic pieces of attire?
It takes a lot of time and adding things to my cart that I can't afford and saving up, and also learning how to put them together. I've made a couple pieces of my own. I make a lot of things with faux fur, and I make a lot of things with weird textured fabrics and what you wouldn't normally consider when you're sewing. I made this thing out of vinyl, so I like to combine things that you can't find anywhere else into my wardrobe. But I also follow a lot of people who are designers and are into kind of the futuristic alternative looks that I'm into, and I buy from them. I get inspired by them, and I'm also just constantly searching for new places too that might have something that I'm into.
Yeah. Are there any other artists at the Twin Cities that are interested in doing this kind of more, and that also kind of express this creativity in their outfits?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I consider when you say artists, like making things on their own there, but when it comes to musicians, a good friend of mine and also very talented musician in the metro area is Lilith, and she is a seamstress, and I credit a lot of my education in sewing to her, and she comes up with the coolest costumes and is into that alternative gothic realm with her work, but I don't know I would say also Zaina always takes great care and consideration into her wardrobe and aesthetic as well. But But yeah, I would love to see more artists like wearing cool, crazy fits.
Yeah. And Donnie, you brought her up. You just performed with her.
Yes, I just performed with her at the Ice House. It was so fun. It was her release party, so that was really cool to be a part of.
Yeah. And who do you pick to perform with, or do they reach out to you? How is that like?
Zyna and I have known each other for quite some time, so like it was only a matter of time before we performed together. But I mean, I am always scouting artists, and like I either just want to know that they'll like perform. Oh my gosh, no! Before I answer this question, I gotta give a shout out and mention to Tim as a rocker too. He also amazing costumes, makes his own costumes, and is incredibly talented. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on from that. Yeah, I'll either pick people or they'll reach out to me. Like, I feel like once you've been doing things in the scene for long enough, like we'll all just kind of reach out to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you signed anybody yet to this label of yours?
We have not signed anyone yet. We generally worked on a project-based level. So we'll involve different artists, either like when we're booking events. We are, involving like 11 different local artists within that compilation album. But we felt that having a record label in today's age is kind of like having an umbrella for a bunch of artists to work together under or receive resources under, and it's just extra promotion and an extra platform for them. So right now, for where we're at, we work for and with artists, but we aren't looking to have any of the artists give up like their independence as artists. And maybe when we gain more resources, or maybe when we're at the level to where we can offer large sums of money to an artist to produce works, then that would be something that we would look into for bringing someone actually onto the label. But we're just not at that level yet.
Yeah. And during the pandemic, you also collaborated with REM5 Studios to create a virtual electronic pop venue. And how was this experience like?
It was good, and it kind of saved my sanity during the pandemic. I was so lost and depressed during the pandemic, and receiving that grant was like a guiding light, and was something that I knew that I cared about and felt that I could do something good for the community still. And so we created that venue with REM5 and got 44 different artists, not only from Minnesota, but like around the world, to perform within this space. And like, I know it's like not like the same as performing live, but just having like your own little avatar icon person floating around in the space and being able to share music and talk in real time was something that I think a lot of people felt really grateful for, and I think gave us that sense of connection when there really wasn't much.
Yeah. And are there any artists that you still work with today that were on this venue?
Yes. I still work with Maddie Lives is one of the artists. I'm still in touch with Boyfriend as well. I am in touch with and collaborating with Moist Breezy. And yeah, I feel Shading the Sun as well. Chad Atkins, Natalie Aue. Yeah, I feel like,
Yeah.
those are the ones that come to mind right away.
Yeah, it's really good that you were able to provide this and
Yes.
an additional space for people to
Yes.
kind of lose during the pandemic, such a stressful time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I totally forgot Natalie Aue. She also incredible like aesthetic choices. Gotta see her fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will definitely check it out. And well, how did this space look like? You know, was it like I think I've heard you describe it as an island. You know.
Yes, it looked like a purple and pink island that had like little fairy, like stardust things fading in and out of existence, and had like these little cabana areas that were like all different shades of color. Uh, just a very colorful space that like people could import their works into, uh like a video game. Like it really was like a space where you could kind of create anything and import any like 3D object into the space if you wanted to do some 3D rendering. But yeah, it was just like it was like an MMORPG.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you're working on that you would like to plug or leave with the audience before you head out?
I would like to plug that I will be at the Internet Kids Hyperpop Dance Party on January 12th at the Fine Line. And you can see me there. And if you are a pop artist or pop supporter, please reach out to me or Freeze Pop Records.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.